whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're going to hurt some people.
Whose car are we going to take?
That's my favorite day of the week. It is Friday, my friends. That's my camera right there. Thanks for joining us on the Nikki Medoro Show on this gorgeous Friday afternoon. The Nikki Medoro Show live starting noon Pacific or anytime you want to watch us on YouTube. Thanks for everybody that is waiting in the wings. A very fun show. As always, we'll wrap up the show. Start at the end and we'll move backwards. Tim Sika will join us, of course, to talk about his take on all the latest movies. There's one movie he's going to review that has a bit of controversy surrounding it. And can movies really make you misbehave? Well, we'll discuss that a little bit. We'll also touch on Levi Stadium getting Super Bowl 60. It looks like they're going to officially make the announcement next week. So we'll touch on that. Of course, we'll get an update on, is Vegas and the A's having the same problem Oakland and the A's had? Is that money? Where are they going to find that money? So we'll update that situation as well. Of course, in the first part of the show, probably about a half hour or so, I'm waiting for my alert. It is Friday, and I do my Friday food segment. And so I'd asked a bunch of you on Facebook. I just woke up this morning. I just couldn't decide what I wanted to eat. It was 8:30. I'm like, oh, am I going to make something? No. I made some really good stuff with my vegetables that I got yesterday. So I didn't feel like cooking this morning. And so I asked you guys, and I'm taking one of your recommendations. So we'll get into that in about a half hour or so during our Friday food segment. There's also very expensive ice cream, and you may not be able to guess just how much people would be able to pay for it. And I kind of feel like restaurants or places that create something so expensive, they're actually trolling us a little bit. Like, how many morons are out there that is actually going to pay that much money? Keeping in the food realm, during this segment, I do want to talk about one food story, it's a restaurant story. The creation of Yelp and reviews and things like that, many people think it's a bit unfair, right? It's skewed. There's been a lot of controversy, for instance, with Yelp of do you get higher ratings, or they've promoted more if you actually advertise on Yelp, and how unfair is that for restaurants that don't ask for it? Well, there's a controversy surrounding a restaurant. And, I know we talk a lot about trans rights on this show and LGBTQ issues. Kind of going on the other side with this story. A restaurant has been criticized and been deemed anti-trans. And I don't necessarily think that it's fair. And so we will discuss that during our Friday food segment in about a half an hour. But I want to start off kind of talking about one story that was making headlines. And you know how it is when the truth actually comes out, it gets a lot less coverage, even from the people involved in it, when it's deemed not to be true. And I'm talking about the story, I don't know if you saw, of some homeless veterans who it was said that they were booted from some temporary shelters to make room for migrants that were coming into the United States. So we'll get into that, the truth and the lie, and what should lawmakers who are tied to stories like this actually do. All right, so that's the show. Plenty of stuff in between, but first, let's click that thumbs up button, smash it, tickle it. I don't care what you do with it. Just press the button. Just once, just the thumbs up, and it shows some great support for the show. The super chat, of course, is also live. Just look for the $ under the live chat. And hello to everybody that's already in the chat. I love you guys. And big thank yous to everyone that have been joining our crew on Patreon. Our monthly subscribers, who I have deemed Medorables, because I love you guys oh so very much. It is growing, and I appreciate it. And we need more subscribers to keep it going. So if you can afford it, it's once a month you're charged. So whatever you think you can afford once a month to support the show, please do. And if you can afford a little bit more, we would really appreciate it. So just go to the NikkiMedoroShow.com, the NikkiMedoroShow.com. The NikkiMedoroShow.com is our Patreon link. You'll find our PayPal link. The email is the NikkiMedoroShow@gmail.com. And then, of course, a link to our merch shop, which you can see a couple things back there. There's plenty more on the website, the NikkiMedoroShop.com. All right, we got all that business out of the way. So let's start with what's being deemed a hoax. And it's not MSNBC that's calling it a hoax. It's not CNN. It's not some liberal news. It is the Military Times. The Military Times. Headline reads, hoax alert. Tale of homeless vets booted because of immigrants is false. It is important that we get the facts straight when we're talking about things. Okay. So let me just get into the story a little bit. And it's a little long, but Military Times is a good time kind of condensing it. All right. So obviously with immigrants and migrants coming across the border, it has people heated on both political sides. Well, apparently there was a news story that claimed that more than 20 homeless veterans were kicked out of a temporary shelter because they had to make room for migrants. This apparently happened on May 12th. The New York Post reported it, saying it happened in Newburgh, New York, in a hotel there where the veterans were staying. And apparently, according to the New York Post and other outlets, including Fox News and others, so the story caught on. They had been kicked out by management to make room for incoming migrants being housed through county funding. Leaders from this nonprofit foundation called, and I apologize if I'm saying the name wrong, Yurik Israel Tony Foundation, or YIT Foundation, said they had to scramble to find new housing overnight to keep the veterans from ending back up on the street. Now, it's important to keep in mind that foundation, okay? So in response, there's a New York State Assemblyman by the name of Brian Maher, and he himself is a Navy veteran. So he introduced legislation. Now, I'm going to lead with this. I don't actually have a problem with this legislation. He's a Republican, but I don't. This is what the legislation would do. It would prohibit the displacement of homeless veterans once they're placed in housing, so long as they continue to meet the necessary criteria. And this is so that they are not displaced by whether migrants come or what have you. But if you read the press release that Maher put out about this, this is what is quoted in the release. Over the last week, many of our homeless veterans that YIT provides services for were informed that they had to leave their temporary housing. Now, this was a quote from Sharon Tony Finch, who's the founder of that nonprofit. Sharon said, our veterans were housed in several hotels that were preparing to receive migrants from New York City. Thankfully, my team and I were able to scramble to find new temporary housing for these veterans. However, this extra trauma has been difficult as we work to gain trust with our veterans and continue to support their reintegration back into society. Okay, so also keep in mind, not just the foundation, but Sharon herself. So the story has been picked up, and then all of a sudden, the details begin to unravel. Apparently, on May 17th, so 5 days after the news broke, the Mid-Hudson News reported that hotel officials had no record of any payments by the nonprofit foundation or of homeless veterans using their location for temporary housing. So not only was this foundation not involved, there weren't any actual veterans at that specific hotel. So now let's bring back in Assembly Member Maher. He confirmed a day later that the veterans in question never existed and that the incident was made up in a misguided attempt by the nonprofit foundation officials to draw attention to veteran issues. The executive director, Sharon Finch, did not respond to comments. But Maher said he did speak with her, and she admitted the fraud. And he has called for an investigation by the New York State Attorney General in light of the incident. Now, Maher also says he's undeterred. He's going to help veterans, which I fully support. But this is what I'm saying. Like, when people make up stories to prove their point, they're actually hurting themselves. So then you would think, all right, well, if Assemblyman Brian Maher knows that this story is false, then of course he would correct it. But no, on his Twitter page right now, let's see, if you go to Assemblyman Bill Maher, there's 1, 2, 3, the fourth tweet, and he retweeted it. He retweeted something from News Nation. He retweeted an article from News Nation that said homeless veterans booted out of hotels to accommodate migrants. There has been no correction from Assemblyman Bill Maher, Brian Maher, correcting, Brian Maher, even though he himself has proven that the story was false. And that is just insane to me. If you know something is untrue, why do you think he hasn't corrected it? Because although it's been uncovered that it was a total lie, it still doesn't fit the narrative, right? So while he is totally fine with News Nation and Fox News and the New York Post amplifying this false story, he gives no airtime, no lip service, no tweets to correcting it. And that's what's wrong with politics. Amy says the story is almost unbelievable, but then I think, oh yeah, it's 2023, so it feels appropriate. Yeah, exactly. John says, that's not cool. I'm a veteran myself of over 10 years active duty. Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. I support Assemblyman Brian Maher's legislation. I do not think homeless veterans who have been placed in temporary housing should ever be removed from it, as long as they meet the criteria and all the rules and regulations and whatever there is, especially not to house migrants. Do you guys hear me? Because I know there's a lot of critics. Oh, you stupid libs. No, I fully support getting the men and women who have served this country into temporary housing. We should be treating our veterans much better than we do in this country. I fully support that. But what I don't support is them keeping up this narrative that these migrants are taking over the hotel, a hotel that, one, never housed any migrants. And this nonprofit was just trying to feed a narrative, probably to raise money and get their nonprofit back in the news. It really does suck that we can't be more honest about something like this. It really does. But that's the terrible thing about politics. It really is. It really is. Karen says honesty is not valued much anymore, particularly by politicians. We're in trouble. Yeah. Well, you just got to call them out. You have to call out the lies as you see it. And yeah, Amy, I'm a liberal as well. Amy writes, I fully support our veterans and think housing should be absolutely free for them. Yes. You serve this country. You should be. It's just ridiculous how many veterans are homeless on our streets. It just is. All right, let's welcome our friend, Kim McAllister, to the show. And Kim, I just, I don't know if you heard me there, but, Assemblyman Brian Maher of New York, he is all fine and dandy with retweeting a false narrative, but refuses to correct it even when he himself is quoted saying it was a lie. And I think that this is the problem with politics nowadays is, God forbid, you should ever be wrong about something and own up to it.
No, and he won't. He won't do that because it benefits him not to have that out there in the world.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, and it's really difficult to believe anything that honestly any politicians say nowadays, because if it doesn't fit their narrative, or if it's not part of their politics, or, oh my God, someone they trusted lied to them, then yeah, willful ignorance. Absolutely, Grady. John says, I thought they sent the veterans somewhere. I heard to hotels, but I'm not for sure about that. And where is that happening? Exactly. So this is in New York. I don't know about every city and state across the country where our homeless veterans are housed, but I'm not saying that. I'm saying this particular story got legs. Again, it made it not only on social media, but Fox News, News Nation, which I don't really read, New York Post. So It's not as if, but do you think that all of these publications are going to broadcast? You know what? You know what? It was a lie. It wasn't true. No, but I will give it up to the Military Times. Literally in their title, headline, hoax alert. Hoax alert. Tale of homeless vets booted because of immigrants. False.
Yeah.
And I give them, I would say that Military Times is read by more veterans, right? And hopefully, I don't know a lot of the background of Military Times. I'm just making an assumption here. Will be believed. I just wish that some of these other news organizations would be able to do it as well. I know there's been a lot of attention on another Republican. That, of course, is Ron DeSantis. But there's a lot of pushback coming from Disney. Disney has scrapped plans for a new Florida campus.
They were going to spend $1 billion on that.
They were going to move a bunch of Southern California employees to Florida. Remember, a lot of them were like, I don't want to go to Florida. Now they can come on back. They're not going to do that.
They say, okay, we want you to move to Florida. So you pack everything up, you end your life, you pull your kids out of school, you do what you got to do, you move to Florida, you set up your new house, you did it. And now they're like, oh, my bad, I'm sorry. Go back to California. We're scrapping our Florida plans. We're out.
Well, I'm hoping it is an upheaval. And I would say, obviously it hasn't opened yet, right? They just asked 2,000 California-based employees to relocate. But I don't know how many actually have yet. I'm trying to read it here. Okay, so according to this article, many Disney employees were upset at the relocation plans when it was first announced in 2021. Some left the company. Some transitioned to other posts within Disney that would not require a move to Florida. And others held out hope the plan would fizzle out. The campus was slated to open last year, but was delayed to 2026. So I don't think anybody's actually moved there, but trying to get your ducks in a row and then have to get your ducks back in the other row probably is a big old pain in the ass. Yeah. So, but I personally, I'd be like, thank the freaking Lord. I don't know. I'm not saying everybody that works for Disney agrees with Disney's politics or Florida's politics, but no, I would not want to move. And now you heard Disney World Florida is closing their $1 billion Star Wars hotel. This is a year after it opened. We were talking so much crap about that when it first came out because everyone was thinking this is ridiculous. No windows, totally overpriced.
It was how many thousands of dollars per night they wanted for each?
It was insane. It was, let's see, costing $1,200 per person per day. One suite came in at $20,000 for the trip. So that was like the
and you can't. It wasn't just a one night deal. You
had to get multiple days
for like a 2 or 3 day because it was a play. It's like a skit that they do while you book.
It was all immersive, like you were there.
The whole story lasts for 2 or 3 days, so you have to stay for the length of the whole experience.
Exactly. So now the accommodation had been criticized due to its price, the fact that it had no windows, but it did receive a Thea Award for outstanding achievement in themed entertainment space. But now it's going to end. I guess, because of the high price, apparently a lot of the rooms weren't being booked. There was reduced prices for dates in October, November, December. Some had just 3 or 4 bookings every week. I think they oversold how much people want to do it.
Even though they reduced the price, you still had to pay more than $1,000 a night to stay there.
Exactly. That's insane. I mean, unless you're a huge Star Wars fan, no friggin' way.
I know they have to pay the actors or the cast members to go and do that. And I know it cost money to build the place, but that's a lot of money for people, And I don't know. And now they're just going to tear it down. What a waste.
Well, I mean, they might turn it into something else. I would imagine that if you have all of that kind of infrastructure built up, be creative with it and maybe make it an attraction, maybe make it a walkthrough. I don't know. I mean,
no, I think they're going to rip it out and make it another hotel.
Oh, really?
They're not going to leave it in place. No. Mm-mm.
And where is it? It's located at Disney World. So
Somewhere near there. Yeah.
it was on Star Wars Land. Star Wars Land.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been to Disney World. I live in California. I'll just go to Disneyland. Disney World always seems so overwhelming to me. So I'm just like, you know what? I don't need to do that much walking. Disneyland is fine with me. But of course, the whole Disney versus DeSantis thing it has some people divided. I can't imagine living in Florida and not being 100% DeSantis and being vocal about it. It has to be hard to not necessarily agree with everything because it's so polarizing. Wes says, okay. Wes says that Wes says that they'll keep it for special events. He bets that. I think they're going to do something with it. And that it's behind Hollywood Studios Orlando. So that's where it's located if you wanted to go to, that hotel, that Star Wars hotel.
It's done. They're done. I don't know when they're closing it down, but that's it.
I think, at the end of the year. Yeah. I think they're going to definitely do it. They'll no longer ask people to come because of the business decision there. And now they're shutting down that very expensive hotel. So CNN went to Florida and was asking a bunch of people, what do you think about the feud that Disney has with DeSantis? Because on one hand, you don't have to agree with DeSantis or Disney, but there is a financial cost to taxpayers. Now, how comfortable would I feel for Disney? And it's not just Disneyland. There's a lot of different places in Florida that have these special business districts or whatever, and different taxes and stuff like that. But Disney is a huge employer. And so I don't necessarily know how I would feel about it, but CNN went and they spoke with a bunch of different people about how they felt about it. I want to play it for you right now because it was interesting who decided to talk and who decided not to talk about how they felt about it. Here we go.
Vote for a Republican, but he's not winning me over with this.
Terry Hohentanner is talking about Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Terry lives here in Celebration, Florida, a town developed by the Walt Disney Company in 1994. Celebration is located near Disney World. Residents and visitors here have been closely following the Disney-DeSantis feud.
It's disappointing, number one, and the timing of it at least seems very retaliatory, based on some of the decisions that Disney made, and then almost a little bit of a pissing match, quite honestly, to see who can up the other.
We spoke with 30 people here, mostly residents. Half of them identified as Republican voters. But of the 9 people we spoke with who said they support DeSantis in his moves against Disney, only one of them was willing to go on camera.
I think that Disney's had too much power from the very beginning.
Republican Ann Fitzpatrick has lived in Celebration for 26 years. She's proud of DeSantis for taking on Disney.
I have agreed with every battle he has taken on.
What do you say to people who think the governor should focus more on other more important things around the state?
Well, he's done that, hasn't he? And Disney is not unimportant. They control so much here.
Republican Ron Kelly is another Celebration resident.
So you have supported Governor DeSantis in the past. What do you think about this battle with Disney?
Waste of time and money.
How has this whole thing changed your opinion of Governor DeSantis?
Yeah, I think he's a little bit off the track on this one. I can't fathom why he was go after them.
Independent voter Sally Moore calls DeSantis's move ridiculous.
Disney reacted the way I felt like they should have reacted. And then to keep going with it and be spiteful about it on DeSantis's part, I just think he's looking like a fool.
University of North Florida polled voters separately about DeSantis and Disney between February and March. Among all Florida voters, DeSantis had a 50% favorability rating, while Disney had a 52% favorability rating. Among just Republican voters in the state, DeSantis came out ahead, with 87% seeing him as favorable, compared to just 27% for Disney.
So what do you think? I mean, who do you think is going to win this battle? It's not like Disney's going to pick up shop, but it's not like Disney's going to pick up shop. They're not going to tear down Disney World, right? I mean,
but all the things they could do, they're not doing now. Look what this ridiculousness of DeSantis not being, doing this whole Trump my way or the highway. You complain against me, I'll show you. This whole not being able to work with people, to be more of a diplomat, to be, to have that. This is a big company in your state. You don't want to alienate them. That was not smart.
Well,
And
and they're always talking like anti-business California.
Right.
This is the hugest anti-business thing with your biggest employer in your state.
Right.
It's insane. And I agree with Wes. The closing of the Star Wars thing is not related to DeSantis, but it is one of these things where I brought it up because it's a hit for Disney, right? And then Disney is also going to be closing or not expanding in this other way. So that's this kind of push and pull of who's going to have more power and who's going to come out on top. Look, do I think that anyone wants to go to DeSantis land? No. People like Disneyland. They want to go there. I wish that it didn't. We're going to talk about this in the next segment. Businesses being thrust into political issues, controversial societal issues. And is it entirely fair? Look, Disneyland came out in support of the LGBTQ community, was against that, that bill, that legislation now, the Don't Say Gay bill. And they're allowed to do that, especially when they know that the LGBTQ community is a huge supporter of Disney. It makes good business sense to not alienate anybody, right? It really is. And no, I'm not saying, Chris, poor Disney Corporation. I'm not saying that. Look, Disney's huge. I'm only talking about the push and pull between them. I just don't think it's fair and I do think that DeSantis is punishing one of the state's largest employers simply because they didn't want to toe the DeSantis line.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Don't you think DeSantis could have just ignored Disney's comments about
yes.
Don't send me to just ignore that. They're not in the business of making laws, Disney, unless, you count all the contributions that they probably give to lawmakers.
Right.
But they're, let him do his business and leave Disney out of it. Let them say what they're going to say. Just ignore that and then keep taking their money.
Exactly.
For the state of Florida.
But he can't. It's similar to former President Trump. It's you attacked me. You didn't agree with me. You didn't fall in line. And so I have to attack you now. Yeah. And it's stupid. It's really, really done. Wes says half the people working at Disney are LGBTQ and the employees insisted that the company back them, as I would want my company to do.
Right.
And not just that, but again, being more inclusive, I think makes better business sense. And I will say across the board. Now, am I saying that Disney should have a KKK night? No, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is you do not want to alienate not only the people that visit your park, but a lot of the employees that work for you. It doesn't make any sense. And I don't understand why DeSantis can't see that and can't separate the two. Chris says, like Bud Light, why do people get upset that businesses advertise? Like, are liberals offended by the super, I'm assuming you mean macho, not nacho, although nachos sound delicious, super macho beer commercials.
The food's here. Yeah.
My food is here. So, nugget. Sorry about that. Yeah, my food is here.
That's funny.
It's a nugget. Hey, thank you. But yeah, I mean, again, I had to turn off the notifications for my Miller Lite video. To myself, you guys can still comment all on it. I'm not upset about any real advertising. I am upset, and I'm going to put that in quotes because I'm not losing that much sleep over it or any sleep at all. Just the faux outrage of people. I think that's the whole thing. It's just stop being so upset about things just because you're not included in it. DeSantis is all upset because he doesn't like gay people. He doesn't want to represent the LGBTQ community. If there is one message that DeSantis has sent Floridians, it's like, if you are straight, and I don't know his religion, but I'm assuming Christian, then I got your back. But if you're not, if you don't check certain boxes, I do not represent you. If you have a child that's transgender, I do not represent you. That is his message, hands down. So if you live in Florida and check those boxes, and I'm looking at US and everybody else out there, you know that DeSantis doesn't represent you. He's not fighting for you. He's not defending you. I would love it if, a Republican who had maybe a transgender child or was part of the LGBTQ community would just look at DeSantis, calmly and be like, do you represent me? Simply, and see what he says. Do you represent me? Are you fighting for my rights? And look for the answer, because obviously he can't say yes. He just can't. All right.
One of the things I think his whole, as the woman in the video said, pissing match with Disney showed is that he's not a compromiser.
No,
One of the
there is
things
no in between.
we're seeing with Joe Biden is when he's got an issue to work out, he's willing to talk to you.
He is. I mean, I don't think. I mean, let's just look at the debt ceiling real quickly. I mean, there's certain things that he's not going to bend on.
No,
and we'll see what happens there. But again, the debt ceiling, by the way, it's Congress, right? They need to figure it out. But yeah, it's just our politics have become so polarizing that no one wants to give an inch, and it sucks. And businesses are going to be hurt, and people are going to be hurt, unfortunately.
And DeSantis is showing that he's that kind of politician that, he's not willing to talk. He's not willing to do the things that a president of the United States, it really does need to do in order to have a nation that's not so divided. He's not.
Well, you don't actually, because we had that with Trump too. Trump would not bend. Would not bend.
Yeah. No.
And it sucks. It really does.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to I'm going to go get my food. It's on the porch. It's Friday food segment. I'll tell you what I got. But I do also have a food type story that kind of ties in with this whole thing. A San Francisco restaurant is being slammed and being criticized on Yelp and other sites as being anti-trans or simply hosting an anti-trans event. And so my question to you is that fair? Should a restaurant know the details, specific details of every single large party event that they have? All right. Before we do that, you guys, please click that thumbs up button. I do want to say some thank you to those who have donated to our super chat. You guys have been generous to start off the show. Brian started us off with a $20 super sticker. Thank you, nice. Brian. Joe also with a $20 super sticker. Thank you, Joe. RJ, apparently, Kim McAllister, you've received the Rod of Equity and Mercy. Is it there?
It was a long time coming. It is.
Oh, there you go. There's your
crown. I do have my crown though.
Okay.
Because that really does accompany the Rod of Equity and Mercy.
Perfect.
So I think the reason I got it was because so many people donated on my behalf, which is really lovely.
Okay, thank you. Well, RJ donated on your behalf as well, $20.
I'll take the Rod of Equity and Mercy, and I will use it sparingly. Thank you.
Okay. Not a lot of mercy coming from McAllister. She's like, I'm only doling out occasionally. And then Wes, my God, Wes, you are awesome. $50. Loving the show. I get so much joy. Don't quit it. Thank you. So yeah, the super chat is live. Thank you guys so much for doing that, because you guys are very generous and we can't honestly do it without you. Yeah. So the super chat, our Patreon is up and running. If you want to be adorable, please consider doing a monthly donation to our show. Just go to thenikkimedoroshow.com. All right, my food's getting cold on the porch. I'm going to go get it. And here's Kim with some headlines.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And let's go right to the debt. Oh, goodness gracious. Talks on the debt ceiling between the White House and congressional Republicans are now paused because of some disagreements. Former President Trump has weighed in, saying Republicans should not make a deal on the debt ceiling unless they get everything they want. The U.S. could potentially default as early as June 1st if Congress does not raise the debt ceiling. The Reverend Al Sharpton's got some criticism for New York City officials for not doing enough, he says, to help Jordan Neely with his mental health challenges. The civil rights leader provided the eulogy today at the funeral for the homeless man who was choked to death on a city subway earlier this month. Daniel Penny is charged with manslaughter for using the chokehold on him. A former NFL football player says his death threat to a California congressman, it really wasn't so serious. Come on. What are you saying? What are you thinking? Right? California Democrat Eric Swalwell posted a direct message from a Twitter account belonging to former San Francisco 49er and Jacksonville Jaguars fullback Bruce Miller, threatening to execute him. Miller called Swalwell a traitor in the message, which also asked, would you rather Guantanamo or just execution? You can add Denver to the list of cities that have now become drop-off points for migrants. That is what is happening in Denver. Texas Governor Greg Abbott said his state's border communities are just overrun. He's got 41 asylum seekers now being bused to Denver, the Mile High City. Denver Mayor Michael Hancock said the busing strategy is insensitive and it's disingenuous. And he said Abbott just wants to chase get cameras. That's all he was looking for. It looks like the city of Santa Cruz is becoming more popular than ever. It is now the second fastest growing city in the country. New census data released yesterday shows a nearly 13% increase in population, adding about 7,000 people between July of 2021 and July of last year. And that brings it back to pre-pandemic levels. The mayor credits the college students returning to campus, saying UC Santa Cruz is the single largest entity in town, and with everybody coming back, that probably has something to do with why Santa Cruz is now the second fastest growing city in America. Something happening at the UC campuses. UC Regents announced plan to hire undocumented students for on-campus jobs. UC Regents voting yesterday to create a working group that will figure out how to hire students regardless of their U.S. citizenship status. So they're not ready to do that just yet, but they do have a working group now trying to figure out exactly how they can make that happen. So that's something new for UC campuses. I don't have an Instagram picture for this one, do I? Oh, I do. Look at me go. Instagram is doing something new as well. Instagram is set to launch a text-based app this summer that could compete with Twitter. And see, they took their time doing it, rolling out something good. That, according to Bloomberg, which said the company has been secretly working with celebrities and influencers to test this new app. It will be separate from Instagram, but users will be able to connect their accounts and follow everyone they already do on Instagram. A screenshot detailing the new app shared by a UCLA professor of social and influencer marketing, Leah Haberman, showed users will be able to have a limited 500 characters for text or posts. The new app comes as some Twitter users have left that app due to changes made by CEO Elon Musk. So now it looks like Elon Musk and Twitter are going to have a real competition with this new Instagram-based Twitter-like app. Yeah, this show is crowdfunded, and that means we rely on you. You can find the Patreon and the PayPal links at thenikkimedoroshow.com, and we thank you very much. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
I love how the music always gets all right after that. I don't know why it does that. Sorry. Hi. Thank you so much. All right. My food.
What do you get?
Smells so amazing. So, like I mentioned before, I had put on Facebook this morning. I just couldn't decide what I wanted. I just couldn't. I always look at the National Day and I kind of got a hint there. And I was like, do I want that? I don't know. And then this week or today is the start of Black Restaurant Week in the Bay Area. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll look for some local Black restaurants. But it lasts through the 28th. So I was like, well, I can kind of save that maybe. Yeah. What? Sorry?
Oh, for a second, your microphone did something weird. It just stopped working. But now you're back.
Am I back? Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just turn off the music. How about that? The music's being a pain in the ass. Okay. So then I posted on Facebook, and my sister-in-law mentioned something that I've had before. Okay. So I'm full disclosure. I have had this. It is bomb. And I was like, and somebody seconded it. And so I was like, okay, well, there's two people that really, really want me to have this.
Okay.
Maybe I should do it. And the third thing was today is National Pizza Party Day. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, I'm going to have a pizza party here, but it's not just pizza that I got. I got Tony DiMaggio's Stromboli. Now I have a picture. If anybody that lives in San Jose knows exactly the place that I'm talking about. Here's a picture of the outside. It's on Monterey Highway. I had it delivered, obviously. So there's the front, and they have Stromboli. And that's what I got. It is my husband's absolute favorite. When I went to the break, he texted me and he's like, "Great choice." I'm like, I knew, because there's no
I don't
way.
even know what Stromboli is.
Where do you live? You don't know what Stromboli here. I'm going to bring up a picture of
I
it.
don't
You
know
are
what
insane. Hold on.
The hell is Stromboli?
How do you not know what Stromboli is? Okay, I'm going to show you a picture. Here we go. Okay.
Is it pasta?
No, it's like it's like a calzone kind of, but it's
Oh.
huge. Here, look. That's what it looks like right there.
Oh, is it like a sandwich or is it a piece of
No,
meat? What is it?
No, it's dough and it's filled with
Okay.
meat and cheese. And Tony DiMaggio's has. I'm going to cut it up. Hold on, so you can see the inside. Hear that? You hear that? Okay, so hold on. Let me hold it up.
Okay.
There it is. And it always comes with a little extra sauce, the spaghetti sauce. Did I bring a napkin? I did. Okay. And it's really, really good. So who in the comments has ever had it? So let me bring up the description of it really quickly. Oh, I had it. So yeah, there's like meats and cheeses, and then they like put a little bit of mustard to kind of like on the inside of the dough. Let me see if I can get a good shot of that. Yeah, there we go. Here, gotta see so I can see what I'm doing there.
Oh, okay. That looks kind of cheesy.
It is really, really good. Yeah, it's like a calzone. It is. It's so good. So let me get my sauce open.
It's a picture I found online.
See, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a calzone, but I mean, they stuff it like a calzone. You can get with whatever you want in it, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But they make this Stromboli. They're famous for it. They have a sign.
So it's like a hot meat and cheese sandwich wrapped in a crunchy, yummy bread.
Pizza dough.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wrapped in the pizza dough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How's that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My new mission is to find Stromboli in Petaluma. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, Google it. Go on. Google it. Go on Yelp and look up Stromboli. You have to have a nice place that has Stromboli. It's not.
You know, we have
an
like
unknown
50,
food.
50 Italian places here, but I don't think we have Stromboli in Petaluma. I've never seen it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Is Macaulay Kai here? Do we have that in Petaluma?
Nick writes, reminds me of chicken bakes at Costco, which are
Yeah,
also
okay.
my husband's favorite thing to get at Costco. But I swear to God, this is really, really good.
Oh,
Ooh, Anonymous.
eh?
I ordered some barbecue ribs, beans, mac and cheese from a barbecue place on Winchester. Ooh, see, you guys have to order your food. I usually order my food around 11:50. 11:45, 11:50, and it gets here in time for the Friday food segment. And then we can all eat together, and you guys don't just have to sit there starving while I eat delicious food.
They're so funny.
Mm-hmm. So no, you didn't find any Stromboli?
No, I didn't. Did you know that Stromboli is an island off of the north coast of Sicily?
Oh, I did not know that.
Containing Mount Stromboli, one of the 4 active volcanoes in Italy. It is one of the 7 Aeolian Islands, a volcanic arc north of Sicily. Yeah. I'll
I
show
love
you a
it.
picture of it. Because, you know.
On Michael's, I'm going to go get some grub right now, too. Yeah, exactly. So, again, Randy, Tony DiMaggio's. It's on Monterey Highway in San Jose. They are known for their Stromboli. Known for their Stromboli.
I'm going to have to take a trip to San Jose just for that.
If you come down to San Jose, we'll definitely go out eating and drinking. You have to save your alcohol.
That's the island of Stromboli.
Doesn't look like a Stromboli.
Maybe it's cheesy and meaty inside. One never knows.
You never know. I'm cheesy and meaty inside. Jeez. Yeah, it's really okay. So Google this, Kim. What is the difference between Stromboli and a calzone? So I would say, I mean, does a Stromboli have to have certain things inside of it? I'm not quite sure. I mean, maybe it's the way it's folded. I don't know.
Stromboli versus calzone. What is the difference?
Right.
Variations of a pizza theme, both made with pizza or bread dough and stuffed with cheese. Both lend themselves to creative customization with fillings made up of different cheeses and toppings, but the similarities end there. Now we break down the difference. The differences are the dough shape and the sealing technique.
Okay, so how they wrap it, right?
A calzone features a circle of dough that's folded in half over the filling and then sealed by crimping, like a pastry or an empanada. A stromboli starts with a rectangular piece of dough, then topped off with add-ins and cheese rolled up lengthwise and sealed by folding and pressing. The origin is different. The calzone hails from Naples, Italy, while stromboli is an Italian American creation that originated in South Philadelphia, says this website. And the fillings are different. Calzone is it calzone or calzone? Calzone, right?
Calzone.
Yeah, calzone and stromboli share several of the same fillings, including cured meat and veggies. And while they both have Italian cheese, calzones are made with ricotta, often alongside mozzarella and or parmesan, while stromboli are typically only made with mozzarella. Calzone's fillings do not include sauce. Marinara is served on the side for dipping. Stromboli's portions can also be dipped, but they can also be baked with the sauce inside. The way they serve it is also different. A calzone is cut in half and meant to serve 1 or 2 people. A stromboli is sliced into multiple servings. It goes on, but those are the main differences.
I ate that whole half of stromboli. I'm just letting you know.
You just wanted me to talk so you could eat. That's what happened
I'm
there.
done. Yeah, I ate half of it. I'll save you the other half, honey. Yeah, that was bomb. I'm telling you. And now, I don't know. Let me look it up. Tony DiMaggio's in San Jose, I do not believe has any connection to the baseball player. I really don't. But let me double check. No, it doesn't say anything in the history. I feel like it would be included in the history if it did, but no, it does not. They have spaghetti, they have meatball sandwiches, they obviously have pizza, but they are known for their stromboli. So if you want to try it out, if you're in my neck of the woods, it's really, really good. Amy says, by the way, Kim, there's a place in downtown Petaluma that makes homemade cannolis and they make stromboli.
Oh, what is it, Amy? What is it?
Gio's Pizza in Petaluma.
Gio's. Okay, I'll have to go to Gio's and get a stromboli. I'll do that tonight.
It's really good.
Thanks,
I mean,
you're awesome.
Yeah.
We knew that already about you, but now you know.
See,
thank you.
That's why I love our Medorables. They're awesome. Yeah. Okay, so that was our Friday food. So let's get into the topic that I wanted to debate. There is a restaurant in San Francisco. Okay, it's in North Beach. It's called American Bites. All right, and apparently they are getting tons of hate on Yelp because they hosted a San Francisco Republican Party event where apparently, some of the guests were spouting anti-trans conspiracy theories. Okay. Apparently this was detailed in the middle of this month in the San Francisco Chronicle. This piece by Salil Ho gave an inside look at the misinformation that was embedded into conservative rhetoric and the legislation and all that stuff surrounding anti-trans rhetoric. So criticism started pouring in immediately after the article in the Chronicle came out. But then many were focusing their hate on the American Bites Yelp page. An owner for the account replied to the criticism saying that to call the event anti-trans is simply false, and then went on to ensure that the restaurant is safe for anyone in the LGBTQ community. What do you think about this? Because what do you want restaurants to do? They get a phone call. Yeah. It's from the Republican. Do they not take Republican parties because somebody could be badass crazy and start spouting some nonsense about trans people?
And do you know what they're going to say before they book the event?
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And what are they supposed to do when the event's going? If I'm in this is a valid question. I own a restaurant.
Yeah.
I have a party downstairs, right, in one of my party rooms. And then my waiters and waitresses are going in and out. And all of a sudden, one of my waitresses, my servers, comes out and says, you know what they're talking about in there? You know, they're like spouting some anti-trans, anti-LGBTQ stuff. What would you say as a boss? What would you say? In that moment, right there, you have a party, you know they're spouting some BS. What do you say?
And it's hurting, and it's affecting other people in my establishment because they're not in a private room, and it's hurting my employees.
No, I will not go that far. I will just say they're in their own private room. They have booked the restaurant for an event. The event is underway. The food is being served. It is happening. Someone just comes up to you, doesn't and also even say this, the server doesn't say anything like it's hurting them. It's just, they're like, that is some BS, basically.
Right. I would like to think that were I the restaurant owner, I might go to the party and say, I understand that some offensive things are being said about, trans people in our community, and I would like you to either stop saying those things or please leave my establishment.
Really?
Please,
That's what you would
please
say?
go. Please
Okay.
go.
Okay.
You're no longer welcome here. We reserve the right to not provide service to anyone, right? And so if you come in here and you're being ugly about stuff, you're out.
What if they're not spouting? What if they're literally just saying this? What if they're saying in a calm voice, not yelling, not for, other, all those drag queens are groomers. What if they're saying that just calmly, like, and then someone's like, yeah, I heard that. They're just having a conversation. How far do you go in regulating the speech of those that are customers of your establishment?
I don't think you can, unless they're making a big scene. Then I don't think you can, because I think you don't know what's being said at any individual table in your restaurant.
That's
Are you
my
going to
point.
kick out everybody who says something that you disagree with or that you don't like? Yeah, I mean, I think the level of kick them outness kind of goes to how loud and obnoxious are you being about
Right.
it?
Right.
Has an employee come to me and said, I have a trans family member, or I'm trans, and I've heard some things that I really don't want to work in that room. And I have no other staff members to serve that room. And so I have to ask them to leave.
So you'd give up the money. I mean, it's an event that they booked.
Give up the money. You give up if they're being obnoxious and rude and offending your employees. You got to take care of your people. They're out. Yeah.
Well, I mean, so I agree with you. Look, I like what Harry wrote right here. This is a Section 230 issue. I mean, it's not because it's not online, but he says, just like Facebook, the restaurant is not responsible for the views of their patrons.
Yeah.
I mean, how far down the road do we want to go with this, guys? What if it was reversed? You know what I mean? What if somebody was transgender and was eating dinner in a restaurant and the owner of the restaurant doesn't understand the trans community? Like, I'm sorry, we're uncomfortable seeing you here.
Right.
Then you see what I'm saying? And I think, and the place is called American Bites.
But isn't hate speech different than discrimination? Because if you kick someone out simply for being trans, you're discriminating. But if you kick someone out for being obnoxious, unruly, and hate speech, that's different.
Yeah,
you're not discriminating against them
point.
because of what they're saying. What they're saying is so outrageous and hateful that it's offending everyone in the whole place. So they got to go.
Yeah. David says restaurant owners cannot be expected to police the conversations of their customers. Now, like Kim mentioned, if they're yelling and screaming and being obnoxious about it, you can it is completely within your rights to be like, you're disturbing the rest of our customers.
Yeah.
I don't, you could say whatever you want, but you have to keep it at a lower level. The minute I start getting complaints from my other customers, either you have to go or you have to change the topic of conversation. It's It doesn't seem like it's a win situation for a business, especially restaurants who have been having such a hard time. It was hard before the pandemic. It's even harder now to kind of make ends meet. You don't want to be caught in the middle of this stuff. You don't. Just rent out your party room. Let them do what they're going to do, as long, again, as they're not being, they're not harassing the staff. They're not being loud and obnoxious to disturb the other patrons. I really don't think that we could do anything here. And I don't think that it's fair to target on Yelp a restaurant simply for doing what restaurants do, feed people and host events. Yeah. And apparently this was a private event. So it was only these people there. So there's no other customers being
what did they do
or anything.
What ended up happening?
They let it happen. And the article was just posted in the Chronicle, this play-by-play of the event. And then once the article got written and the name of the restaurant that the event was held at that had all these anti-trans conspiracy, people started targeting the restaurant. I'm like, target the people that held the event if you're so against it. If it's the San Francisco Republican Party, throw your, upsetness at them, all your anger at them, not at the restaurant that's just trying to do what restaurants do, which is hold events and feed people. Trevor, though, says if a right-winger can refuse to serve gay and trans people, it could work the other way around. Now, I'm not saying that that's the situation. But I'm just saying the focus of people's anger can be misguided so freaking often, right? It's like you're not mad. You shouldn't, in my opinion, be mad at the restaurant that's just trying to make ends meet. So I want to just read you a couple. This is what some of the people that are upset at American Bites, again, in North Beach, are saying. And now, of course, Yelp has the, disclaimer. This one person says, shame on you all. The San Francisco Chronicle reported that this place hosted an anti-trans meetup. I'm all for free speech, so let the non-queer, hate-driven population support this business moving forward. Went to this restaurant who happened to be hosting an anti-trans Republican Party, completely revolted that this was allowed to happen in San Francisco. Gross. Whoever made the decision to host such a group should be fired. Support your community instead. Not everything is money. Daniel says, this establishment supports anti-trans hate groups. Don't go there. See the Chronicle article that was published. Really? I just feel like it's so misguided. It's not, the restaurant isn't supporting the event. Just like if, I don't know, any event was held someplace. How are you? If the KKK walks down a street, is the county supporting the KKK because they built the street? You see what I'm saying? I mean, how far do we go down this? Oh, well, you gave them you allowed them to have a place to congregate. If they go to a park, is the city or the county park that owns or runs it responsible for that? We'll never patronize this establishment because they hosted an anti-trans meeting. They did not host it. The San Francisco Republican Party did at this restaurant where they were fed. If Togo's delivered sandwiches to this group, would you target Togo's? Support for transphobia and transphobic groups is disgusting. Shame on you. It's just, and it goes on and on and on. And I'm like, and you guys know I'm a total lib. Like I wear it proudly. I support LGBTQ issues, and I am not part of the community. I'm just a supporter. I guess I don't know where in the thing but I'm a huge supporter. Absolutely. This, I think, sucks the air out of a conversation when it should be directed elsewhere. It should be directed at the fight to allow parents and people to determine their own medical care. That's where it should be. That is the fight, not a restaurant serving food to people that have different political viewpoints as Jews, no matter how wrong you may think they are. Great comment from Dave. As a former bartender, if I had kicked people out for offensive comments, the bar would have been half empty. Exactly. What are restaurants supposed to do, people? What are they supposed to do? Wes says, I feel that people attacking trans and drag are just bullying. It's a very small percentage of our society. They just want to live life. No one's pushing back until the bullying tactics start. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. Let's keep our focus on the real fights out there, And there are plenty of Republicans, Perry Joe. Plenty of Republicans in San Francisco. It is diverse. I mean, I'm sure it's not a lot, but
there's a San Francisco Republican party group.
That's the group that did the dinner at the restaurant.
The leader of it used to call into Station X all the time.
Oh, really?
John Rothman. He would always call and say, "But John Rothman." Yeah.
But John Rothman. Okay, well, let's lighten it up in our food segment before we go to Kim's news. How much would you pay for a delicious scoop of ice cream? There is now the world's most expensive ice cream. And let me just describe, let me see if I can get it always has this. Guess what it has that everything that is completely like the world's most expensive fill in the blank has on it? What do you think it is? Gold leaf. Always. Yeah. They always have gold leaf on it. I wonder how much it would be like if you said, can you hold the gold leaf? How much that would drop the freaking price. Okay. So it has, and white truffle. So the ice cream includes edible gold leaf, white truffle, and natural cheeses. And guess how much it costs?
$300 a scoop.
It costs. Now I'm going to play you I wonder if I could. Is it by this? I think it's just a serving. It's a serving, so it might be more than one scoop, but I bet you they only give you the picture that I'm seeing right here. It's you know how they do the fancy ice cream where they scoop it into that little kind of oval or whatever, and it looks all fancy schmancy. So here's a picture of it. And I like ice cream. I'm not a huge, if it was my son, he'd probably be all about it. But here you go. Here's a picture of it. And it looks like one scoop on the left there. That's what it looks like. So that's what you get. Right there. You see the little gold on top, white truffle shavings. It doesn't really actually look that appetizing to me, but whatever. The world's most expensive.
Looks like mashed potatoes. Doesn't it?
Kind of. Let's watch a little video. Let's see if I can watch this video. This is where they're advertising it. So here we go. Oh, look at that. They need to have all these episodes. Right.
Sounds like porn.
Oh, wait, I need to put it down. There we go. There we go. Ooh, yeah. I don't know. You can give me a fancy scoop. I'll give you that. Yeah, that does not look appetizing. All right. Price? Anyone want to guess?
Wow.
How much? And don't Google it, people. $100. Amy, way too low. 200? Nope. John, too low at $1,000.
Really?
Too low. Come on, people. Think big.
Wow.
Think big. Not, I'll say this. Trevor, very specific. $11,780. No, a little less. I think that's a spoonful. I think that's a bite. $20. That's how much you probably would want to pay for it. $540. No, way too low. $1,500. It's still too low. Making sure I got
For one scoop.
For one scoops. Still too low at 5,000, Karen. Still too low at 5,000.
Come on.
So per scoop, $6,696.
Are you kidding me?
Nope.
I'm like,
no
Where do you buy this?
Okay, so this is it's a Japanese ice cream company. It's called Salato. And it just broke the Guinness World Record. Their flavor is called Byakuya. I'm going to Byakuya. That's how much it is. Okay. It also has Parmesan Reggiano on it, which does not sound good to me. I'm trying to find the restaurant. It's the head chef at the acclaimed Osaka restaurant Rivi.
Okay.
You have to go to Osaka, Japan to go eat it. It took a year and a half apparently to perfect the flavor. I'm sure it was the gold leaf that made it, right?
Yeah. Well, the truffles really,
Yeah, they described the complex, which I think is probably half gross, complex flavor as rich and truffle forward with hints of fruity Parmigiano and sake lees for a glorious taste experience that fills your mouth and nose. You're overpaying for my ice cream. No, thank you. Yeah, Calvin. No, thanks. I'll buy your Stromboli instead. Yeah, the Stromboli was really reasonable. I think it was like $13. I paid like $20 for delivery. So there you go. Yeah, it does not sound good. I would never pay. I wouldn't pay $100 for a scoop of ice cream. It's not happening. Even if you had gold leaf on it, you can keep the gold leaf. It's stupid. Yeah, Karen's like, real Parmesan's only $17 or so a pound. Big deal. Yeah, I just... Exactly. And I don't know who buys this kind of stuff. Who is the target market for something like this? I have no idea whatsoever who is the target market, but somebody must be. Okay, when we come back, we have some big sports news. Super Bowl's gonna be back in my neck of the woods. And not just the Super Bowl, apparently the World Cup too. We'll talk about that. The A's might be staying because Vegas is facing the same kind of problem. And then what would you do if a box arrived at your door with tickets to an event that could go for thousands of dollars a ticket?
And I didn't order them?
And you did not order them. I know Kim's going to start off with what I would like to say I would do. That's Kim. She's like, I'm not in the situation, so I'll be the good person here. I don't know what I would do, because I have a kid that would want to go to this event really, really badly. But we'll get into the details on that. Plus, Tim Sika joins us towards the end of the show to tell us what to watch and what to skip at the movie theaters. But first, some headlines.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Let's start with the G7, why don't we? Group of 7 countries are vowing to act in our national interest regarding China. According to a draft of a communique seen by Reuters, the countries are prepared to build constructive and stable relations with China while acting in their nation's interest. The final version of the communique is expected to be released on Sunday. And there they all are. Look at them. Or not all of them. What, you have 5 there? Yeah. Glenn Youngkin, Virginia governor, could be preparing a 2024 presidential bid. That's what some think after the governor released what many say is a campaign-style video yesterday. Youngkin tweeted it yesterday, then wrote, "It's time to usher in a new era of American values. It's our turn to choose life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." President Youngkin? Is happening in Mexico. An erupting volcano causing classes to be canceled for over 100,000 students near Mexico City. In-person classes were canceled yesterday after Popocatépetl volcano began erupting ash nearly
What
over
was
2
that?
dozen
What was that
towns.
name? What was that name?
It was you're so mean to me. Popocatépetl. Popocatépetl. Popocatépetl.
Okay,
Said
I'll
it
do it. I'll
fast.
go. I'll go with that. Yeah, just say it with authority, Cam, and there you go. Okay.
Popocatépetl. Listen, if you look at this word, I'm gonna
Can't
create a
see it.
banner for it
Okay.
because I
I'll
want you
try to
guys.
pronounce it. Let me see what it looks like. Let
I
me see what
want
it
you to
looks like.
see how to spell this word.
Catapetl. Popo. I like the whole popo. It's probably a po.
They have it pronouncing here.
Pocket
It's Popocatépetl. Popocatépetl.
Popocatépetl.
Popocatépetl.
I like it. Okay. All right, there you go. Kim did it. There you go.
That, by the way, was a glimpse of what happens at the Station X newsroom, or what used to happen there. Yeah. Oh Lord. Popocatépetl is it's exploding, and it started erupting ash over nearly 2 dozen towns and spewing harmful gases. The 17,000-foot snow-capped volcano is only 45 miles southwest of Mexico City, which has a metropolitan population of more than 20 million people. So, Popocatépetl. And now I would like to note that, yeah, Ron DeSantis hit the cover of Time magazine. The issue, published yesterday, features an illustration of the Florida governor standing in front of the American flag and the Florida flag while peeling an orange. You can't see it there because it says Time magazine cover, but he's peeling an orange while he's doing all this. The cover story was published ahead of the governor's expected bid for the White House next week. You think he deserved to be on the cover of Time? What Ron DeSantis means for America, says Time magazine. The orange was a nice touch. I don't know. I'll say that. Ron DeSantis on the cover of Time. A recent survey shows Californians have more faith in state leaders working together than federal government leaders. The survey conducted by the Public Policy Institute of California, showing 61% of those surveyed are more optimistic about Governor Gavin Newsom working with the state legislature in Sacramento. That compared to the 27% that believe President Joe Biden can work with Congress in Washington, D.C. Father of a football player accused of recording a sex act with another student is now speaking up. This happened in the Sacramento area. A parent said during a Rockland Unified School District board meeting Wednesday, people are jumping to conclusions. He claims the female student was also involved in sharing the video. He said his son is also a victim. A female student went to the school board earlier this month and said the male student shared the video without her consent, which led to bullying and then harassment as well. So, as now you have a dad standing up and saying, "No, wait, my son's a victim." I don't know. Ludacris is getting his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in Southern California. The Grammy award-winning rapper and actor given the honor yesterday as his wife and 4 daughters all showed up in support. Ludacris calling the achievement mind-blowing. NFL legend Jim Brown is dead at the age of 87. I don't have a picture of him, Nikki, but Jim Brown has passed away. His wife, Monica Brown, made the announcement on his Instagram account. The Hall of Famer retired after 9 years playing with the Cleveland Browns in the 50s and 60s. Brown rushed for more than 12,000 yards in his career, as well as 106 rushing touchdowns. He was also known for his roles in films and his activism as well. And lastly, there is a new study ranking Texas number 1 in something that's not so much something to be proud of. Tony in San Antonio, my bad, I'm sorry. But according to the survey from Forbes Advisor, Texas has the worst drivers in the country. The report says Texas is in the top 3 in fatal crashes involving drunk drivers, a drowsy driver, or a driver that is going the wrong way. 2 of Texas's neighbors also made the top 5 worst driver list. Louisiana ranked 2nd, Oklahoma ranked 4th. This show is crowdfunded, and that means we rely on you to help us make it all happen. This is where the magic happens. You can find more about the Patreon and PayPal links on the website, thenikkimedoroshow.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
Thank you, Kim. I'm sorry I was grabbing pictures for Tim Sika. I was busy doing that. I apologize. Okay. Yeah. Tim Sika's coming up in just a moment. We'll also get to, at this point, there is some concern from the California CHP about the new Fast and Furious 10. It's coming out. So we'll touch on that in just a moment. But first, I want to talk about the sports stories of the day. So when I woke up this morning and turned on the news and heard KTVU talking about the fact that the A's might stay after all, I'm like, give me a friggin' break over here. They're leaving.
They had a deal. Yeah.
Right. I thought it was a binding freaking agreement, right?
Yeah.
With that spot in Vegas. Let's watch a little bit of the report from KTVU, kind of getting into it. And how many of you, let me know in the comments, I mean, is this just dragging out? Is just, just slowly turning the knife for Oakland A's fans?
We were actually very close to a deal, and whether it be under the current ownership or a new ownership, we are ready. We are ready to move forward with negotiations again.
That abrupt about face comes after word from the news site, the Nevada Independent, reporting that Nevada's legislature is only willing to pony up $195 million to construct a new stadium for the A's. That stadium could cost upwards of $1.5 billion. The A's are looking for more of a $395 million commitment. As of this morning, lawmakers in Nevada have not introduced a bill to fund the big dollar project. The reporter who broke this story says it's a waiting game to see which way the political winds will blow.
That's what everybody's waiting for, is the formal bill language to drop. We know that, there are folks that are interested, and the legislature is saying that they're maybe willing to give anywhere from $150 to $195 million in transferable tax credits is part of the puzzle, right? They're still waiting on Clark County in terms of money to come in to maybe complete that $395 million the team is looking for.
Not going to happen, I would think. I mean, this is what I don't understand. What was it? A few days ago or last weekend, they had the lowest fan turnout at the Oakland Stadium since the 60s, 70s, something long time. If you're Vegas and you're looking at the A's team that's coming, why would you think you're getting something that's going to draw a big crowd? Unless they completely change their whole tactic about, paying players, getting good players, not getting rid of. What are you getting? The A's suck. And I'm not trying to knock A's fans. The team isn't doing well. Okay. The team doesn't do well. So why would Vegas want to do that? But they're free to. I mean, it's another draw. I'm sure they put all kinds of money into places like that. Calvin says A's owner wants free money to pay for a new stadium. No thanks. Leave now, jerk. Yeah. People don't like him, and it's going to be interesting to watch. I don't think that the A's are going to stay. I don't mean to pop that bubble. I would love to see the designs or something go in that spot. Howard Terminal, all the drawings. I would go to Oakland if they built something like that. right? I would go and I'd visit. But right now, why? Sorry for anybody that lives in Oakland. I'm not trying to knock your city, but there's nothing drawing me there. There's nothing drawing me there right now. So I think it would be a very good idea. So we're keeping an eye on that. We are expected to host the 2026 Super Bowl at Levi's Stadium. This would be for Super Bowl 60.
That's kind of exciting.
I mean, we've done it once, right?
Yeah.
And remember last time they had the whole village in San Francisco, like all
Yeah.
the things were down the street from Station X, but we actually hosted it in Santa Clara, and I still watched it from home. But it's
And
always fun.
I remember the aerial shots of the Golden Gate Bridge and spots in San Francisco, and the event wasn't even held here.
No,
or
it was
there.
not.
Yeah.
But again, it's not the only NFL team that does that, right? And so, some teams have New York in their name, but they're actually based in New Jersey. Not surprising. Okay. But I'm stoked. Levi Stadium not only will be doing the same year the Super Bowl, but they'll also have the World Cup that same year, which logistically, in my opinion, makes sense because you're already planning, you're going to have all the security, you're going to have all the infrastructure, the preparation all set up. Might as well knock two birds out with one stone. So a lot of tax revenue is going to be coming in. And I will say to both San Francisco and Santa Clara, I mean, some people will want to be closer to the stadium, and hopefully they could draw I know that area. I know that business park where Levi Stadium is. It's a business park. There's not a ton of stuff over there. It's definitely not San Francisco. But Candlestick, I would even say arguably, argue. Candlestick Park, it was off Candlestick, right? That's not like there was a ton of stuff to do. You did still have to get on the freeway to get into San Francisco City to do stuff and go to the restaurant. So let's stop acting like people can't drive a few miles to get to their entertainment. Santa Clara, where Levi Stadium is, may not be hustling and bustling, but a lot of people came to downtown San Jose, and a lot of people can go to the other neighboring cities if they want to as well. So I'm excited about it. I thought we did well the first time we had it. So that's going to be fun. Now, as far as the tickets. Now, Kim, is your daughter a huge Taylor Swift fan? No, yes?
No.
No. So my daughter is a huge. She keeps trying to talk me into this YOLO idea. YOLO, Mom.
You only
Spend
live once, Mama.
$1,200 a ticket for a Taylor Swift at Levi Stadium. And I said, no, my child. No. Not happening. But can you imagine being a Taylor Swift fan and a package is delivered to your doorstep and it has not just Taylor Swift tickets, okay? Not just Taylor Swift, but VIP tickets to the show. So this is the report down from, was this in Southern California? No, it wasn't. It was in.
Well, wait a minute.
Mhm.
If it's a VIP list, it's not that big of a list. They know who they sent the VIP tickets.
Well, I would also assume that there's a name on the box.
Right.
But here you go. Here, let's watch. It's just a funny news report. Here we go.
Buy them. We get packages all the time. So it was opened, and when she opened it, she said, "Oh my goodness, it's Taylor Swift tickets. It's VIP." Not only did I get one, we got six. Of course, my 19-year-old daughter is excited, but I'm like, they don't belong to us. We need to find the correct people.
Oh my gosh, those 6 tickets are to the Taylor Swift concert in New Jersey and could be resold for thousands of dollars each. The Eyewitness News viewer tells us she's working to track down the person who actually ordered them. Swift plays in New Jersey next weekend. But
Yeah, if my daughter opened that package, I would say the same thing to the mom. We have to find the person. Do you know how much money they spent on this? No, we are obviously. But I love Karen. If you receive something not purchased by you, you are entitled to keep it.
Is that
No, bad juju.
No, you can't do that.
I don't think so. I mean, I would assume that there's a name on the box. I'm assuming that there's a letter inside. I'm sure she, like, tracking down means literally, I know the name. I just need to find the person.
I suppose you could make the argument if something arrives to your house in a box, it's a gift.
Look what God gave you. There you go.
It's a gift from heaven.
You know what else Taylor Swift fans are doing? Has anybody, I did this once in my life. This was when I was in high school, obviously, before he passed away. Have you ever gone and not got tickets to go into a venue, but you hung out in the parking lot So like the Deadheads used to do that all the time. You used to go to a Grateful Dead concert, never have tickets, but you'd hang out and it'd be a whole party out front. Anybody? Was I alone in this? I did it once. So apparently Taylor Swift fans are doing that. It's called tailgating. So they don't have tickets in to the show, but they can hear her sing from outside in the parking lot. And so they're tailgating.
Okay. That could be fun, I guess.
I mean, I have like watched drive-in movies from the parking lot because I didn't have any money to watch. This was back in my, high school days. We would just hang out in front and see the screen and tune in. But and don't come at me. It was years ago. But I don't know if I'd go to a concert just to hear it. Like I could turn my radio on. It could be, I guess, fun. Maybe if I could see if they had a jumbotron that was visible from the parking lot. That could kind of be like watching it because most of the time, if you're in the nosebleeds, that's all you're going to see anyway. Chris.
There used to be a drive-in movie theater. This is kind of off the topic, but there was a drive-in movie theater right in between. I call it no man's land. There's like nothing but rolling hills, trees, and cows in between Novato and Petaluma for miles and miles. And there was a drive-in movie theater right in the middle of it all. It's gone now. But for years, it showed X-rated drive-in movies.
Ooh.
Yeah. And the screen was tilted in a way that you couldn't really see it from the road, but at night, if you craned your neck in a certain way as you drove by.
It's like watching the cable box and it's all like, you might see a nipple here or there,
And I remember being like, I don't know, a teenager, and I would always kind of be like, whoa, a boob. I think I saw a boob.
Well, it's like, remember when they made that 50 Shades of Grey movie or whatever, and they would show that at the drive-ins. And in San Jose, the Capitol drive-ins that we go to all the time, you could see most of the screens. You drive up over on Capitol Expressway, you're on a hill, you can see everything. Now, of course, you have to be moving. It's traffic. There's no stoplight for you just to watch the screens. But you could see definitely people bound to go wowing on there. So there you go. Karen remembers that drive-in. Eventually ran porn. It's long gone now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I mean, the names of the movies were funny because you could see the names from the highway.
Yeah.
Today is showing whatever.
There you go.
Pick a name.
Wes says, when we first moved to the Bay Area, we lived in Castro Valley. We got a letter addressed to a previous resident with 2 tickets to the Emmys.
Oh.
But they had her name on them, so we couldn't use them.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you need a driver's license to get in. But yeah. I don't know. And yes, I know that people tailgate. Somebody else was saying, Karen, it's called parking lot tailgate. They do it at football games. Yeah. But I mean, the party atmosphere of not being able to go into the concert. I understand tailgating. I get what that is. That's why they're calling it Taylor gating. But yeah, the Deadheads used to do it all the time. I mean, some people just went anyway. They followed the band along and they had no tickets to go see the Grateful Dead. They would just hang out in the parking lot and it would be a huge party in the parking lot. But I don't know if I would do that for Taylor Swift. And at least according to this one story that I'm watching, some of the security has caught on to it. So they're not letting people without a ticket into the parking lot, but obviously you can get dropped off or whatever, or they're not letting cars park.
Yeah.
So you can walk in. Yeah. I mean, you got to save the parking for the people that are going to the concert.
That's right. Yeah.
That's what you need to do. All right. And then finally, before Tim Sika joins us, I want to talk about this movie that he's going to be giving his review on. Now, I'm not a huge Fast and Furious type of person, but driving crazy, putting that in quotes, has been in the news a lot with the sideshows, right? Well, the CHP is really concerned about what they're going to see following the release of this movie. Here's a little bit of the news report from CBS.
It just get bigger and bigger. And my question is like, why isn't no one stopping it?
Law enforcement agencies are accelerating their efforts to curb the dangerous trend.
And this problem's affected every community in the state of California.
CHP just launched the campaign Thrills That Kill against illegal street racing and sideshows. The takeaway, leave the wild stunts for the big screen, not in real life. You've seen the dangerous driving take over streets and parking lots on social media.
It's definitely a dangerous activity. A lot of youth don't know how dangerous it can be.
Are these crackdowns working? According to CHP, it responded to more than 7,300 incidents with nearly 123,000 participants in 2021. In 2022, the state says incidents decreased by approximately 50%. The campaign will feature displays around the state, including the central San Joaquin Valley, reminding drivers about the risks. Dubinetsky applauds the move.
And it's not a joke, you know, you're playing with your life.
I don't understand I know the thrill, right? I mean, but just stopping traffic like that. And I've said it before and I say it again, and I know it's been mentioned during meetings and everything regarding the punishments for sideshows, the spectators. You got to go after them. And I'm sorry if you think you should be able to stand around and watch whatever you want to, but it is totally true that it's because of the crowds that people want when they do these things. You could, if you didn't care, you could just spin your car and donuts in an empty field. But they want the crowd, they want the traffic, they want all of the attention, and it also makes it more dangerous. Earlier in that report, they were showing a guy in the hospital, busted up from head to toe because he'd been hit by one of the cars spinning and spinning and spinning around. Because God forbid you keep your distance, right? You got to be right up there. They got to take these cars. They got to take spectators' cars. There needs to be punishments, whether you're driving or whether you're watching. They need to do something about it. And I don't care if you guys think that I'm being unfair. It's absolutely unfair that you're just trying to drive in traffic and there's all these people doing it. Now, something that I often see, not necessarily sideshows, and I don't completely have a problem with it, are, people that have the motorcycles and the fast racing motorcycles as well. They'll be 20 deep in traffic, which they're allowed to do. And, they'll take off and some of them do wheelies or whatever, but at least they're moving, like go, you know what I mean? Get away from me, not blocking traffic, not doing donuts and stopping traffic on the bridge. If a motorcyclist does a wheelie in front of me and falls, sucks for him or her, but that's not stopping traffic. I mean, I guess if there's an accident, that'll stop traffic, but you see what I'm saying? The spectators need to be looped in just as much as those that are behind the wheel of those cars. Absolutely. And LAX, I mean, or lax paint, I get what you're saying, but again, it is impeding traffic. It is the spectators. I don't believe if we give them a safe and sanctioned area that they'll go there. It's the part of breaking the law that they like. You like breaking the law? Good. Then give them a consequence for it as well. You think that's what happens. Living on the edge, I guess. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I don't know if coming up, Tim Sika will be joining us. I don't know if the Fast and Furious X, it's called Fast X, not Fast and Furious. It's called Fast X.
Everybody's in this movie. It's like it's
the last one, right? Yeah.
I don't know. Is it?
I think it's the last one. We'll ask Tim Sika when he joins us. What's his face? Jason Momoa's in this one. I don't know if he was in the past ones, but he's in this one. So that might get me to the movie theater. I don't know. When I went to Universal Studios for my daughter's birthday in February, the tram, the studio tour that you do on the bus, they do this 3D type of thing, and it's the Fast and the Furious. And it's like you're in the chase scene and it's actually pretty freaking cool. So that's a safe way to do it. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's a safe way to do it. All right. Tim Sika is going to be coming up in just a moment. We'll do some headlines with Kim. Before we do that, though, I want to give some thank yous to those that have been donating to our super chat. I really, really do appreciate you guys. The latest one from Kathleen. She came in with a $10 super sticker. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
But you guys have been so generous. Wes came through with $50 and a message to not quit the show. We wouldn't dream of it, my friend.
I love
$20 for RJ and Kim's rod of equity and mercy. Thank you. Thank you. Joe Fong with the $20 super sticker. We appreciate you so much, Joe. And Brian, thank you so much for starting us off with that $20 super sticker as
really
well.
Nice, you guys.
Yeah. So if you guys want to donate to the show during the show or even during the replay, just look for the $sign. You can throw super stickers and thanks and comments our way. But the very best way to support this show is to think to yourself, how much can I afford per month to see Nikki and Kim's face on my YouTube screen. And then just donate that amount. So go to thenikkimedoroshow.com, thenikkimedoroshow.com, become a Medorable, become a Patreon subscriber. We really do appreciate it. And of course, if you want to make a one-time donation, PayPal is really, really easy. thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. All right, Tim Sika is going to be coming up next with some movie reviews, but first, some news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Back to the debt limit we go. New information, the debt limit talks between the White House and Republicans are hitting a snag. Republicans paused negotiations today, saying the White House was refusing to move their way on spending cuts. When asked if meetings could restart on Friday, a White House advisor said they're playing it by ear. That's the latest. The credit crunch prompted by the recent bank failures may mitigate the need for higher interest rates. Hikes. Yeah, the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, today said rates might not need to be raised as high as they would otherwise due to credit tightening in the banking sector prompted by Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank's failures. The central bank has been raising rates to curb inflation, putting rates in the range of just over 5%. But again, because of these banks failing, they might not need to raise interest rates quite as high. Speaking of money, it turns out the Bay Area is one of the most expensive places in the United States to raise your children in. A personal finance website, Smart Asset, used data from MIT's living wage calculator to find that in the United States, it costs close to $21,000 a year to raise a child. The site reviewed nearly 400 metro areas across the country to determine how much it costs for two adults to raise a child in 2023. Well, much of the top 10 dominated by the California areas, but also Boston included, Princeton area, New Jersey, and Ann Arbor, and Kalamazoo in Michigan. In all of those areas, it costs more than $30,000 per year to bring up a child. $30,000 a year. Keep donating to the Nikki Medoro Show. Lord knows we're going to need it. An American photo agency now refusing to turn over pictures and video of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's New York car chase. The couple called the incident, in which they were pursued by paparazzi, near catastrophic. Backgrid USA told CNN they responded to a letter from the royal couple's legal team saying the material is copyrighted to that agency and the Sussexes have no rights to it at all. So they won't hand it over. They don't want to show what happened there. The contaminated eye drops outbreak, unfortunately, seems to be growing. The CDC reports another death linked to the recalled eye drops Desalm Pharma and EzraCare, EZRI Care, EzraCare. The tainted eye drops are now linked to 4 deaths and 81 cases of extensive vision loss in 18 states. Let me say it again. Delsam, D-E-L-S-A-M, Delsam Pharma, and EzraCare. The FDA has urged Americans to stop using those 2 brands. Just don't do it. Yeah.
Yeah, my mom has like glaucoma and she's had eye surgeries or whatever. Not on this, and I don't know if this would apply to everybody that uses those contaminated eye drops, but something kind of cool regarding eye drops and eye medicine is that she has eye drops that were specifically made from her genetics. They took blood from her and they created eye drops that are solely for her and like fix whatever the hell's wrong with her eyes. And it's really, really cool.
What are they, like stem cell eye drops? Or
Yeah,
what?
something like that. They take the blood and they separate it. She has to keep it in the fridge. She showed me. She's like, "This is really cool." And apparently they work. Because yeah, she has a lot of eye problems, and so I was just thinking about that. I was like, I was going to tell my mom, "Oh my God, don't check your eye drops," but she has her own eye drop.
No, she probably isn't using those. But tell her anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Because some people get eye drops. They use them to if you have you don't have natural
Dry eye or
tears in your
something,
eyes,
yeah.
dry eye. Yeah. Just make sure whatever you're using that it's not those. Make sure she
Exactly.
knows those 2 brand names. Yeah. Lastly, An employee at the Florida Dollar General is being sentenced to 4 years behind bars for adding bleach to a coworker's Pepsi. Jerome Ellis, who worked at a store in DeLand, was caught on surveillance video pouring in that bleach. The 48-year-old janitor told cops he was mad at his coworker for brushing up against him. Really? That's all you had to do? Brush up against somebody and you got bleach in your Pepsi?
I mean, as if that's an excuse. I love the fact that like they brushed up against me. I
Don't touch me.
mean, unless it's like you're rubbing an erection against somebody, I don't see
Don't touch
how
me.
that's that big of a deal. I
Sorry,
mean,
Nikki, don't touch me.
exactly. Don't touch me.
The coworker's okay, but the bleach pourer is not, and will be headed to jail.
I
for
would assume
4
so,
years.
yeah.
4 years for pouring bleach in someone's Pepsi? I mean,
You're trying to kill them.
Yeah, that seems like a rather light sentence.
Mhm. I agree.
Guys, cray-cray. So 4 years doesn't seem like enough. The Nikki Medoro Show is crowd-funded, which means we rely on you to help us keep this show rolling. You can find us online at thenikkimedoroshow.com. There, you will find, among many other things, the link to PayPal and Patreon. And we thank you. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
And let me just give 2 more shout out because Calvin gave us another $50 and an as you wish. Calvin, you're amazing. And so are you, Deidre, with a $10 donation for Kim's crown this morning.
Oh.
Put it back on.
My crown.
There's your crown. And also, I checked my email and I want to say, and I know I'm going to miss some. The most latest one, let's see, was this yesterday? What's today? The 19th? Ms. Organic, who I've seen before, just became the newest Medorable. And I know that there's others as well. I'm going to give shout out. I'll get them all together. But we have Tim Sika waiting in the wings. But if you guys want to be a Medorable, I would really appreciate it. Kim would appreciate it. Just go to thenikkimedoroshow.com. And thank you guys for being so generous during today's show. Okay, you know what time it is. It is time to figure out what the hell we should watch and what we shouldn't watch with our friend and movie reviews with the one, the only Tim Sika. Hi, Tim.
Hello, ladies. How you doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good. Now, before I brought you on, I was talking about this controversy, and I'm going to put that in quotes, surrounding Fast X, which I know that you have a review on because they're scared that everyone's going to watch this movie and go be dangerous in their very fast cars. Were you influenced to drive faster after you watched the movie, my friend?
I don't think so. Really, I think that sounds like a publicist doing their job. That's what that sounds like.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, though, what is there to say about this movie? The 10th movie in this franchise. It's one of the unanswerable questions in the known galaxy. You know, maybe if Einstein were still with us, he could explain it. How on God's green earth did this franchise become so successful? Because it's nothing but
chicks, Tim. Fast cars and chicks.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so. Car crashes, car chases, car explosions, men killing each other, men beating the crap out of each other. And in this one, there is a physical, brutal fight between Charlize Theron and Michelle Rodriguez. So now the women are getting the crap beat out of them and by each other. I mean, you know, and I doubt
that fights well. Wow, everything's in it. Okay.
Yeah, but you know, it's just another action movie, as endless set piece, escapist, insanely high-priced piece of Hollywood decadence. I mean, the plots are silly and ridiculous. Have either of you two seen any of them?
I think I saw the first, maybe the second, and then I stopped.
Yeah,
see, me too. Me too. I stopped after the second. I thought, I can't take any more of that. And I realized today, really, it was for the first time in years. I mean, they're coming out, I think, like one a year, that there were 10 of them. Yeah. So I don't feel like I missed anything. But this one concludes with one of the most insanely staged. This is probably why they're saying that about the driving. The last 20 minutes of this movie, there's this insanely staged, deliriously improbable car chase, probably the craziest ever conceived or even executed on film. I mean, it's just insane. I can't even begin to describe.
Were you entertained? But were you entertained by it?
I actually wasn't. That's the thing. I mean,
okay.
I mean, after a while, you just, first of all, I stopped paying attention to the plot because I thought, well, this is ridiculous. I mean, this is like, it's just like they're setting you up for car crashes, and the plot is, it could be about, you know, the moon landing or something. Who cares? No, I just found it a 2 hour and 20 minute sensory assault, you know?
Yeah.
And it's funny, when I left the theater, this is so weird because I told this to a colleague, I'm not kidding. But after having sat through it, the only thought that came into my mind was that people need to read more books and maybe they'd stop making these kinds of movies. I mean, no, really, I wrote that in my notes. I thought people need to read more books. Yeah,
You are dumbing down America.
Yeah, mindless entertainment, I would assume. So if you like, I love what Lori said right here. She's like, adrenaline, testosterone, chick fights, eye candy.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
not to love?
I guess. Yeah. No, I guess. But I think if people had to sit through as many of these movies as critics have to sit through,
That's
I mean,
true.
I think we'd be a little bit more charitable. But I mean, this is the 10th one, for God's sake. The 10th one.
All right. I'm sensing, Tim, you're passing on that one.
Yes, I did my due diligence and I sat through all 2 hours and 20 minutes, and that's enough.
That's
Yeah.
long too. Okay.
Yeah,
geez.
I know.
All right. Well, maybe if I'm napping or something, I'll throw it on streaming. All
What
right. We have
about
another one. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, what about Momoa? Was he good in it, Momoa?
You know what? Actually, he would probably be worth the price of admission because he plays. Yes, he's very good. He's actually very funny. He plays this. You don't know he plays this like androgynous kind of fae. You're going, which way does this guy swing? I mean,
Ooh, really?
he's playing with this sexuality of this character, and he's having a ball. And no, actually, that's a reason to see it, Momoa. He's totally.
Well, he was my only reason to see it, Tim. So
Yeah,
there we
no,
go.
really. I mean,
Okay.
but the performance is really good, and it's really nuanced, and it's really funny. I mean, he acts really well, and you're going, I can't believe this is Jason Momoa. He's having the time of his life.
That's
Anyway.
awesome.
Yeah,
Oh, good.
yeah.
Good. Well, now I want to see it. See, Tim,
Okay,
see what you did
yeah.
there. You flipped me all around. Okay. I'm not going to try to say this name at all. La Immensita. I have no idea.
You know what? Actually, that's what I thought it was too, but it's Italian. It's Lemonsita, and it
Lemonsita.
translates as the immensity. And this is an Italian domestic drama. It's directed by Emanuele Criolese. He's an Italian director, and it's in Italian with English subtitles. But that shouldn't scare anybody away. It's set in 1970s Rome, and it's about this nuclear family. Consisting of an unhappy married couple. They have 3 kids. The wife is an expatriate Spaniard, and she's played by Penelope Cruz, who's just amazing in this movie. But her husband's cheating on her with his secretary, and on top of this, their eldest child, who is 12, remember, this is 1970s Rome, she's 12 years old, and she's assigned female at birth, but she experiences gender dysphoria and identifies as a male. So keep in mind that all this takes place in Rome in the 70s, where marriage and the role of the wife and the role of the husband and the notions of gender in general were all pretty much specifically defined, and everyone was expected to fall into line as far as those definitions were concerned. Mental illness was rarely acknowledged. Depression, especially women's depression, was rarely acknowledged at all. And transgendered, I mean, forget that. There's no way to even speak of what that was. And there were no names for such things. Misogyny was commonplace, at least it was in this family. Anyway, all of that, all these things are explored in this domestic drama through the lens of this family. And this character, brilliantly played by Penelope Cruz, this woman, she's a wife and mother. And this is the type of movie, this is going to sound weird, but it's best reviewed and talked about to an audience who's already seen the movie, in that, if that makes any sense, because there's so much going on in the film, and it's very entertaining. On the surface and beneath the surface, there's a scene where the human being is compared to the nucleus of a cell, where inside the cell, another thing is always happening, and that we human beings too are kind of like that cell nucleus inside. There's something always going on, but you can't see it. And then the question is posed, what's more important, what we have inside or outside? So it also does this thing in that it dramatizes how an unhappy marriage affects the children in ways that are left unspoken and undealt with in the child. So there's a lot of pain in the movie, but it's also very optimistic and life-affirming too, and a very good drama with a radiantly stunning and beautiful central performance by Penelope Cruz.
I love her.
She's so...
I really do. I love her acting. I feel like she, in her face, in her performance, I mean, she is just, I love her range, and
yes,
I like
and
her.
For some, this is gonna, I hope this doesn't sound like the way I think it may sound, but she's so beautiful that it's striking how much depth she has as an actress. You know, I mean, usually you don't see that kind of beauty and that kind of depth in one person, but she's got it all, and she's worth seeing for the movie alone. I mean, great.
Perfect. All right.
Yeah.
Next is Monica.
Monica. Monica. Another very good and powerful drama. It's a simple story. It's about a woman played by a trans actress named Trace Lissette. I never saw her before, but anyway, she's been separated from her family and her mother mostly for 10 years. But when she gets word that her mother, played by Patricia Clarkson, is dying, she goes home to care for her. Now, I almost regretted having said anything about trans. And that particular plot thread of the movie is one, well, that's what particularly hit me about this movie, is that when I screened it, I had no idea what it was about, except for the fact that it appeared to be this story about a woman going back home to care for her dying mother, and that mother and daughter were obviously estranged for some reason. We didn't know what, but it wasn't until almost maybe 50 minutes into the movie when, and I can't remember how, but it's revealed in a rather sort of circuitous way that the mother disowned the daughter because she was trans. And so I went, whoa, that's intense. And that adds a whole other layer onto this drama that I did not see coming, or that was even there. You know, it's a drama about acceptance and forgiveness and love that only intensified this kind of familiar movie tale that we've seen before of family and specifically parental estrangement. The acting is great. Patricia Clarkson, brilliant. I mean, as the dying mother, her face says more in silence than when she actually speaks. Trace Lissette is astonishing. Both actresses deliver Oscar caliber performances in what is it's a sad but completely watchable and absorbing mood piece about adult parents and adult children seeking connection.
Oh, I love that. And that's in theaters. Yeah, that's in theaters.
And it's in theaters. Yes. Yeah, theaters.
All right. Master Gardener. I always think of my mom. My mom's a master gardener. I don't know what this is about.
Really? Really? Oh, really? What is your definition of a master gardener? She
goes to well, not only that, you have to go through a course through UC Berkeley to get the designation.
So it's actually like a degree.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, kind of. Yeah. And then you got to teach people and all kinds of stuff. So.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, this is another goodie from the prolific pen and mind of Paul Schrader, who wrote Taxi Driver. He wrote Raging Bull, The Last Temptation of Christ. He's still going strong at 76. He's directed a lot of movies too. Most recently, First Reformed with Ethan Hawke, who played a priest having an existential crisis, and The Card Counter, which is an amazing movie. And he delivers again in spades with this movie, Master Gardener. It's a crime thriller. And in Schrader's films, his personal movies, they often depict troubled and in a lot of cases emotionally disturbed men, characters who are having an existential crisis of some kind, which is then activated or underscored, or maybe punctuated is a better word, by some kind of cathartic event, usually involving violence, right? And pretty much all of that is going on in some form or another in this particular story. It's about a former neo-Nazi skinhead and white supremacist, played by Joel Edgerton, who is the master gardener of the title and horticulturalist of this magnificent garden estate, which is run by this wealthy dowager, played by Sigourney Weaver, who's really good in this. She's really, she's like, you don't want to mess with her. Anyway, she orders him at some point to take on her grandniece, who's troubled, and we find out has a past thing with drugs, as an apprentice to also learn how to garden. And then this guy's life is thrown into a kind of troubling disarray, I guess you would call it, and the dark secrets of his past begin to reemerge. So yeah, it's a strong but strangely beautiful and the poetic stuff is also going on in the background despite the darkness of the story. In one of Schrader's gentlest, I think, and tenderest movies, where these bursts of darkness are in sharp contrast to the beauty of the gardens that are photographed on screen that the Joel Edgerton character tends. And the story's framed by that character's voiceover history of plants and gardens. For example, speaking of gardening as a kind of a belief in the future, a belief that things will happen according to plan, if you go about it correctly, and that change will come in its own time. And yeah, it's a very good drama. It's vintage Paul Schrader. And he makes art movies, this guy, sometimes uncomfortable, not always the easiest to watch, but art that's always stimulating and interesting and unpretentious, and also, you know, an adjective not always associated with quote unquote art, very entertaining as well.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
important.
and Master Gardener is no exception. It's a drama that sucks you in, and you just go, how is this thing going to resolve?
Ooh, I like
yeah.
that.
And so, yeah, it's a good one. Yeah.
Perfect. Now, all the movies that we've talked about so far are in the theaters, but this last one that we're going to is on Netflix, and it's called Call Me Kate.
Yeah, a document. What isn't fascinating about Katharine Hepburn? I mean, the woman, the actress, the human being. It's been 20 years, I think. Yeah, she died in, I think it was 2003. So it's 20 years since her death, and people still talk about her. And in many film circles, she's still regarded, along with Bette Davis, as the movie screen's greatest actress. 60-year career she had in movies, television, and theater. This documentary is directed by a punk activist filmmaker whose work I never knew, I never heard of. Her name was Lorna Tucker. And this documentary covers all of that. There's some audio and video footage that's new to me. I actually thought this was just going to be another one of those Katharine Hepburn things. Hepburn was notoriously controlling of her public persona. She admitted to creating a certain image, a certain character named Kate, because to her family, she was known as Catherine. But to the public, she created this character, Kate, that was separate from her private life of Catherine. So there wasn't a whole lot new here for me. And in a way, there's nothing here about her that I didn't already know. But for the first time, I think, at least in films, her sexuality is explored here. In fact, it's implied, and I don't even know if it's implied, I think it's stated, that if she were born today, she may have been transgendered, because she had always admitted in letters and in public statements, she always wanted to be a boy, and she felt more comfortable acting the boy. Her upbringing is explored here. What today could possibly be seen as abusive behavior from her father is addressed in this movie. Her older brother's suicide is addressed in this movie. So she didn't have anything to do with this. So it's a movie about Hepburn that we really have never seen before. And all of this is framed by her career achievements, which are legendary. I mean, she's the only actress to win 4 Best Actress Academy Awards. But I can't see how a movie about Hepburn couldn't be fascinating from the get-go. It's not like this would be a movie that would be hard to screw up, because she led such a remarkable public and professional life. And what we are gradually learning about her private life is even more fascinating. I recommend this movie highly. And then I hardly ever do this, but in my opinion, the best Hepburn biography that I have ever read, it's called Kate, The Woman Who Was Hepburn. It's by American biographer and Hollywood historian William J. Mann. It's a great companion piece to Call Me Kate. So, see this movie, read that book too. I mean, the book is a page turner.
Nice.
Yeah. So anyway, it's, as you said, it's called Call Me Kate, and it's now streaming on Netflix. So
okay, so out of all 5 of those, Tim, choose one. I know. I think I'm going to start putting you on the spot for this occasionally.
Okay,
Which one would you?
I'm not going to think about it. I'm just going to say first thing, Master Gardener, I would say, is the
really
one that
okay.
stuck with me the most. Yeah.
I thought you were going to do the Italian one, but
yeah, that one. Yeah, see, they're all on a level.
Hey, I'm going to go with your first choice.
Yeah, except for the first one. Yeah, they were all movies that. What was it, Paul? We talked about this before, but Bruce Joel Rubin. He recently appeared in this documentary called Only in Theaters, and he talked about the the experience of seeing a movie which changed the way he saw movies, and it was Ingmar Bergman's Wild Strawberries. And he said when that movie was over, he said he had this epiphany, and in his mind made this distinction in that moment that there were movies which were escapist, and then there was cinema which affected your psyche. Well, all four of these movies, with the exception of the first one, fall into that latter category for me. They all affected my psyche. So yeah, so there you go.
There you go. All right. Well, Tim Sika, I always appreciate your reviews. You're the best. Thank you so much. We'll talk again soon.
All right. Talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
I know, exactly. I love Tim Sika's take on it, especially with things like Fast X. It's like, give me a break. Although Kim McAllister, Jason Momoa, I mean, he kind of stole. I wasn't gonna even watch it, but now I'm like, Jason Momoa.
He did like the Guardians of the Galaxy, the recent was it 3 or 4, whatnot.
Yeah, I watched most of it. I have the hardest time with the Guardians of the Galaxy, but it was pretty good. My husband really liked those movies. My husband loves the Guardian of the Galaxy movies.
Yeah.
So I was into
And Tim Sika gave me 2 great movie reviews for kind of preteen, early teen movies.
Oh yeah?
Crater on Disney Plus, which he was right about.
We talked about that last weekend. Yep.
And then the Mary Poppins movie, or no, the Peter Pan movie. With the new Banks's kids. I forget what it was called.
Yeah. Peter Pan. It's just called Peter Pan, isn't it?
No, it's called like the names of the other kids.
Oh, Michael and whatever.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Wendy and Michael.
Wendy and Michael. Yeah. Look at you.
I mean, they are the children, so it shouldn't be that hard to. I'm like, is it this one? I saw Still, that Michael J. Fox documentary.
How was that? Did you like it?
Oh, it is so freaking good.
Yeah.
It is so, you don't even have to, you know what the genius thing they do with this documentary, again, it's called Still and it's on Apple TV. I just finished it. They have Michael J. Fox talking to, and obviously it's difficult, and he explains what his body's going through.
Right.
But as he's talking about his life growing up and acting and getting all these roles, they take scenes from the movies he's in to kind of act like the emotion he's talking about. Yeah. It's really kind of genius how they do it, and then you also get to see him in some of these movies, and it's heartbreaking. It's inspiring. I will say that a lot of it, many of you that know from KGO or know Ron Owens has Parkinson's, and seeing someone that go through that, what it does to your body, obviously, falling, the injuries that you can get. Michael J. Fox talks about it all. It is very revealing. He's totally honest. And I will say this, it's definitely worth seeing. I enjoyed it. I was not bored beginning to end. It was amazing. All right, guys, have a fabulous weekend. Please click that thumbs up before we end the show. A big thank you to everyone that donated during the show and donated to our Patreon. Again, please consider becoming a monthly subscriber. It is the huge chunk of money we can depend on every single month. Just go to theNikkiMedoroShow.com, theNikkiMedoroShow.com, the links to everything, including links to share the show with your friends and family, because we want to grow our community. All right there. The podcast as well. If you can't watch it, you can listen to us anytime. We're all right there. We'll talk again next week. Love ya. Bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow.